What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Coruscant. Here we talk about the Acolyte on Disney Plus. We're talking about episode 4, which is directed by Garcia Lopez. Alright, so episode 4 is a pretty decent episode, to be fairly honest. I don't know why people hate this series. I get that it's, once again, a very slow-paced series, but I think this is much more in line with Star Wars, to be fairly honest. I think it fits. I do think the Jedi are idiots, but, for Star Wars, this is a pretty decent episode. It does things that Star Wars does. It goes places that Star Wars goes to. And I think Leslie Headland and, of course, the director, Garcia Lopez, do a pretty nice job like Kelnacca and Leslie Headland did in the last few episodes. I'm one of those people that really likes the Acolyte. I don't get it. I don't get why other people don't like this. But, it's Disney. It is what it is. There have been quite a few bad series in the Star Wars franchise. But in essence, this episode is another continuation of the Jedi that Mae feels betrayed her and Osha. And, of course, sees Mae going to Kafar, in Star Wars names, Kafar, to find Kelnacca, who is living on this planet, as we saw in the last, episode 2. It basically shows, in essence, Mae and Qimir traveling on this planet and talking about how, Mae is going to, how she's going to kill Kelnacca without a force or a lightsaber, and that has been her MO throughout this entire series so far. But, it's interesting to listen to. There are theories now that the master, who is the Jedi with the weird teeth looking mask, is Qimir, that he's manipulating Mae, thinking that he's a schlub in a lot of respects. But we'll see. This episode ends on a cliffhanger, as they usually do, which kind of sucks because at this point I have to wait until the episodes air before I can post my reviews, because I don't get screeners past episode 4, which is fine. That is Disney's prerogative. But they travel to this weird, crazy planet that is basically inhabited as a solace planet, for Wookiees. And Kelnacca's there. And, the fact that, as we learned from the 3rd episode, Mae is being manipulated by this master character. Even she's afraid of him when he finally pops up at the end. But we'll see what happens there. Like I said, Mae is when she walks into Kelnacca's room, Kelnacca's dead. Did the master do it? Did Kelnacca kill himself? I don't know. It's weird that Kelnacca's dead. It is an interesting thing. But it also, on the other end of the spectrum, Osha decides she's going to go after Mae to kind of figure out and try and get get Mae back to the good side. But she has to travel to Kafar, and there's a nice back and forth between her and Jackie, who's a Dafne King character, who in essence is an individual who is still a Padawan in a lot of respects. So she's still very young. She's still very precocious. I'm talking about the Jackie character. So the back and forth between her and Osha is a really fascinating kind of, not provocative, but kind of young kid type of scenario where the two individuals they talk about the Jedi Order. They talk about the nature of the business. We see that Jackie training still as a Padawan. It is a really fascinating thing to watch these two individuals just have young people moments. They really are. They talk about life. They talk about all kinds of things as they're traveling to Kafar to try and figure out Kelnacca, because they figure out that's where Mae is headed. But also you see how Sol really cares about Osha, that when Osha decides she's going to go after Mae on her own, after she talks to Yord, and it's an interesting thing to see how Sol is so committed to Jedi, but he's still very passionate about his once Padawan, to watch him go after her and say, we need your help, but we can't get you back in the Jedi Order, which is kind of defeating to Osha in a nutshell. But just to watch how she still is committed to the right thing as she thinks, even though the Jedi, I don't think, do the right thing sometimes. It really is a moment. It really is. When we see, of course, Sol talking to another Jedi Master, they talk to a bunch of the Jedi, decide that they need to go after Kelnacca, and we see all the Jedi Council at the time. I don't want to harp and hate on the Jedi for what they are, but they are ignorant in a lot of respects. And so therefore they just do a lot of things that don't make any sense. But anyways, they go to Kafar. they use this character thing, I think is like Bizarre or Bezer or whatever, which is like a tracking creature, which is like really adorable looking creature. And they travel into this, forest where they know Kelnacca is. And, of course, Wookiees are very known for their forest lifestyle and stuff like that. And there's some really cool moments in this segment where Osha feels some disturbance in the force, and then she, of course, causes a disturbance of this gigantic creature. The creature is, of course, killed by Saul because it's attacking them. And I love the idea of like the nature of Osha's guilt for releasing this creature, because she tells Jackie, if my abilities caused this thing to hatch, therefore it attacked, and now it's dead. And Jackie seems kind of what I would call different, like not really that worried about it. She's like, I got to see something cool in the process, which once again, they're supposed to be keepers of the peace, but they act like fools sometimes. They act like entitled a-holes, and that's my whole problem with the Jedi. They're so blinded by their own arrogance and stuff like that. But it leads them to, because this episode's only 28 minutes long, which is still crazy to think that we have episodes like that, and there's like it's like 36 minutes long, but it has like 12 minutes of credits. Anyways, it leads to a segment where they pop up at Kelnacca's house. I think Osha goes in and sees that, or Osha and the crew go in there, but before they can step in, that's when the master shows up, and he basically lays waste, or he doesn't really lay waste, but he knocks Osha out of the way. Mae is scared because she knows the master is there, and the Jedi ignite their lightsabers, go after the master, but the master has this like crazy force ability and pushes them all out of the way, which leads to the end of the episode where we had to wait till episode 5 to figure out what happens afterwards. But the master is some kind of crazy force user, and is able to, knock out a bunch of Jedi at once, which is an interesting thing. But, it's going to be interesting to see in the upcoming episodes, which I'll be watching the same as everyone else, that the master, who is the master, once again, Qimir is a possibility. Maybe Indara could be a possibility. Maybe it's someone we haven't seen yet. Maybe it's one of the witches. I mean, it's not entirely known. It could be the Margarita Lavia, or however you say her last name. I can never pronounce her last name, so I apologize. It could be her. It's going to be somebody that you've seen before in the series. Whether they probably won't they probably won't say who it is in episode 5. Maybe like the next few episodes or something like that. But it's going to be interesting to see whether it's a letdown or whether it's a really interesting progress forward on the series. Once again, I don't know. I can't tell you. I haven't watched the episode, but as of this point, I have watched episode 4. And so for my final thoughts, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I think it has good character growth. I think it has a lot of interesting intrigue. We finally get the first true look at the master that of course we saw it in the trailer, but this is the introduction of the master that only Mae really knew about. And does Saul know who she is, or does Saul know who the master is? I mean, who knows? But other than that, that's kind of where I lie. I think it's once again, I think the people are being too hard on the series. I think people are claiming it's a fan film, claiming it's cheap looking. I don't think it's cheap looking. I actually think it's quite beautiful looking, quite gorgeous. I think Michael Abel's music is fantastic. I think the directors do a nice job. Is it the best in the entire franchise of Star Wars? No, it's impossible to declare that, because one, we haven't seen the entire series, and two, you have to look up to like Andor. You have to look up to the original Star Wars movies. You have to look up to The Mandalorian, stuff that's already come before it. So therefore, you just kind of have to be patient and see how this plays out. Hopefully this is not a Moon Knight scenario, or, Ahsoka scenario, or Obi-Wan scenario, where it just is not very interesting. And I think this is a very interesting show. I really appreciate it. So even though episodes 5 through whatever comes next, I'll be watching with everyone else, I'm still going to do a review of it because I really appreciate it. So for my score, I'll give it another 9 out of 10. I think it's, a really well done episode. So anyways, so with that said, we're going to leave our station on Coruscant for the time being for the next week. And let me know in the comments below what you think of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me why. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.